Is sustainable property investing worth it? This is a 20-story, 75-metre tall commercial building. A building of that size is probably built with concrete, which contains cement. In this case, about 4,000 tonnes of cement. Making that cement probably emitted around 3,100 metric tonnes of carbon into the atmosphere. That's about the emissions of driving a car for nearly 13 million kilometres. Now multiply that by all the buildings in Australia. Together, they produce up to 39% of Australia's energy-related carbon emissions. And with Australia's target of net zero emissions by 2050, sustainability has become a hot topic for the real estate industry. With increasing pressure on the property sector to build and operate more sustainably, questions remain over the business case for these decisions. As an investor, should you pay more for green features, and what will the payoff be? In this video, I'm going to unpack this using 3 critical factors that underline the value and need for sustainable investing. And make sure you watch until the end because there'll be some key data that can help you make an informed decision. Okay, the first factor, the need for future-proof real estate. Experts warn that climate risks like heat waves, flooding, storms, and droughts increasingly threaten buildings and property portfolios. These escalating weather extremes endanger both day-to-day operations and long-term structural integrity.
Hotter, drier, and when it does rain, expect a lot of it.
Extreme conditions are on the way, and it's all down to climate change.
This vulnerability is especially prominent in coastal areas, where 87% of Australians live within 50 kilometres of the shoreline. The recent Queensland floods underscored the financial severity of the climate threat and estimated $2 billion in documented damages to commercial businesses in homes alone.
The southeast now in the grips of a life-threatening flooding emergency. Homes inundated, cars washed away, and emergency services run off their feet.
This escalating vulnerability highlights the need for sustainable building practices that lower emissions while making properties more resilient. Besides just mitigating climate change, which the building sector heavily impacts, green development also needs to withstand extreme weather and protect investments. It's a dual strategy, which leads me to my second critical aspect, rising demand for sustainable buildings. Climate experts predict that by 2050, the weather's going to get even more wild and unpredictable, throwing extreme weather events our way more often. At which point climate will become a critical threat to building value and businesses as usual. These risks could disrupt operations, increase operating costs, and damage the infrastructure. With all this chaos on the horizon, everyone's starting to realize we need buildings that can stand up to these challenges by making them more sustainable and resilient. But here's the catch. Even though everyone wants these eco-friendly spaces, there's not enough of them being built. For every 3 square meters people ask for, there's only 1 square meter in the works. So green buildings are becoming a hot commodity. JLL expects demand for green spaces to exceed supply by up to 70% across Australian cities. And if investors want to invest in these spaces, they have to fork out a small fortune to do that. Data from office sales shows that greener buildings are fetching prices about 12% higher than usual, and rents are up by 5%. And every step up in energy efficiency a building makes can bump up rents on average 4.2%. This increased demand leads me to my third and final critical aspect, highlighting the value and need for sustainable development. Stakeholders. 89% agree that sustainability is important to corporate strategy, and 86% want to accelerate sustainability initiatives. Over 70% of investors also believe that green strategies lead to higher values, increasing demand, and improved tenant retention. There is also growing recognition of the benefits of green spaces, further driving sustainable investment. Along with the financial incentives for decarbonisation and the increased demand for green spaces, 48% of investors also recognise the brand-enhancing capabilities of certification for commercial properties. So stakeholders across the board are rallying behind sustainability. But what does this all mean for the way forward for you? What can you do with your portfolio to jump on the sustainability train? As a commercial buyer's agent, I'll start by stating the obvious. Jumping on that train is definitely worth it. If not just to reduce your carbon footprint, but also to make our buildings more resilient and increase the profitability of your investment. So start by looking at the data to see how going green might affect your money and choices. Then get on board with using better technology and data. Even though brand new eco-friendly buildings are cool, fixing up old buildings is key because making new ones can add a lot of carbon to the air. There are even initiatives like NAB Green Finance, which provide green loans for purchasing existing commercial property. It's clear that the global community is committed to a greener future. The big question is how quickly everyone can get on board. With 96% of leading occupiers planning to focus on green credentials when they buy or use buildings by 2025, investing in green is pretty much the norm now. If you need some guidance on where to make your next investment, I've left my contact information in the description box below. Otherwise, if you found today's video helpful, why not give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Join our community for more insights, tips, and all things commercial real estate. See you on the next one.